Hey everyone, today I'm gonna show you how to replace your belt tensioner on your Toyota Corolla 2014. This is a relatively easy fix on newer cars as you don't have to raise the engine like on previous generations. This applies to all 2ZR-FEA engines as well as a general guide to any other vehicle. A faulty belt tensioner is often indicated by a rumbling coming from the engine at a low idle, at least in my case. Also, while we're at it, we're going to change the belt. So if you're constantly hearing a squeak sound, this is the fix for you. Let's get started. Now, here's an overview of all the simple steps we're going to do. 1. Remove the belt. 2. Remove the tensioner. 3. Inspect all the pulleys. 4. Replace the new tensioner. And 5. Put back the belt. Simple, right? Let's go. Okay, first thing you're going to do is to make sure your car is cold. If you used it recently, let it cool off. While you're doing this, you can start preparing your workspace. Take the engine cover off, which is simply fixed within 4 clips, move the AC line over to the right, and make all the necessary changes to get yourself some good working space. Now, you can start looking for the tensioner nut located just under the bolt that keeps the tensioner fixed to the engine. Be careful, we're looking for a nut that looks like a bolt that actually doesn't screw onto anything. It simply helps take out the tension of the tensioner so you can work on it. You're going to want to turn this nut clockwise, which means towards you, in order to release the pressure applied to the belt. You may want the help of a friend for this, as the tension is only relieved when you're applying force, and you also want to remove the belt at the same time, so get a friend to help you. Don't be scared to apply a good amount of force to the tensioner, as every inch makes it easier to remove the belt. A little tip is to use some lubricant to ease the belt out. Now, this is just a matter of wiggling it off. Now the next step is to locate the 2 bolts holding the tensioner in place to the engine. You may have more bolts, in my case there's only 2. There is one near the pressure nut we just loosened, which is a long bolt, and another one farther away which is shorter and smaller. You're going to want to loosen both of the bolts easily. I personally didn't have the special tool that fits in tight spaces, but using a small ratchet and a long pole helped me get leverage in order to loosen the bolts. Just make sure you don't go too far on the pole when pushing to prevent excessive torque to the bolts. Again, get some lubricant on those bolts to work them out. You have to be very careful, you don't want to strip some treads on the engine because this will cause some major issues if you do so. So take it easy. After removing the tensioner, now is a good time to check all the pulleys for noise, squeaks, or any unusual grime when turning. This could indicate the cause of your tensioner problems in most cases and can indicate the next repair you would probably need to do in order to not break the new tensioner you're installing. If you have a bad pulley, you might want to consider changing it in the future. But for now, as of time constraints, we're only gonna change a belt tensioner, but make sure you subscribe for a future update on how to replace your pulley. Now to put everything back to its place, you're going to want to just reverse the steps. Align the tensioner, slide the bolts in, and now torque them. This is a more delicate part of the jobs, as torquing these bolts is crucial in order to prevent them from unloosening from the engine's vibration. After some research on the internet, I could not seem to find any relevant info regarding the torque specs for these bolts. I looked at the previous generation specs, but 51 foot-pounds seemed a little bit high. I found a similar engine torque spec saying to torque them both at 32 foot-pounds, which seemed more reasonable. Anyways, I went off with that, but torqued them progressively towards 32 foot-pounds. So I started with 15, 18, 20, 23, all the way to 32 foot-pounds. And I found out that the smaller one seemed okay with 25 foot-pounds. Also, this part of the job is up to criticism, but it did the job for me and it still works today. I don't see why it wouldn't for you. If you manage to find the exact torque specs, leave them in the comments below so people could know. Finally, to put the belt back on, slide it around all the pulleys, pull on the tensioner, and slide the belt around the last pulley on the top. And don't forget to take out plastic wrapping on your tensioner if it has some. At last, you're going to want to replace the engine cover and any other parts removed and fire up the engine.